Hey y'all, Moses here, and welcome to the second episode of PUBG Breakdown. I want to say thank you all for your responses to the first video. Overwhelmingly positive, so I'm very happy to see that. I'm glad you had a good time watching it, and that you hopefully extracted some good information out of it. So the most upvoted comment I saw on the last video was requesting me to look at failed rounds or losses more than just the wins. And that was something I was intending to do anyway, not necessarily for this episode, but because it's such a highly requested topic, I thought I would do it right now, just for y'all. So the idea behind this video is to review some of my rounds where there is a key point in which I made a mistake, and identifying that mistake and talking about how I came to make that decision and how to fix it in the future. So within that, there is something that you should know, and that is that not every round has a key point in which you've made a mistake or failure. In some cases, many in mine, where I have to make a best case decision at the time, and not always do I have a better option available. So what I'm trying to say is that there's not always going to be some golden bullet mistake that leads to a loss. Sometimes there is, and that's great to extract that information from. My suggestion is to get a setup, or if possible, I know that there are some there out there that don't have the ability to record their gameplay, but I use NVIDIA Shadowplay. I also use OBS, which is why you see my overlays from the stream on some of my videos. So I use that to record, and then I use that to review as well if there is an instance where I make a mistake. And now during the course of my stream, I often do live reviews of the end of a round if I make a mistake, because most of the time I get mad and I want to see if there's some reason I can blame something else for my mistakes, but most of the time it's me. I would say 95% of the time it's me. It's really important to definitely review your rounds. Don't just look at it as a tool to find mistakes, but also to find success as well, because reviewing your winning rounds and what you did right is just as important as trying to figure out what you did wrong. So I'm not going to talk too much more about the concept of that we're going to cover. Hopefully you can find some interesting information here as well. Of course, leave a comment down below with what you'd like to see next. And if you like the video, hit the like button. I'll cover this at the end as well. But don't forget to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/wtfmoses. And luckily for you guys, there is no ad this episode, so we'll jump right in. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. So as we jump in here, I know some of you have mentioned that you wanted to see the early game loot phase. I'm going to save that for the next episode, kind of going over effective early game looting, that kind of stuff. So for this game, we're jumping in as I am making my way to the end game, which I will be focusing on for this particular episode, as that's typically where most of the mistakes that you want to review are going to occur, in the late or maybe the latter half of the mid game. So as you can see, I'm driving around, taking people out from their vehicles and collecting loot. My overall strategy that I was employing this day was just more playing the center of the circle rather than the edges, and looking for fights as people transition. So again, I'm taking vehicles out, looting, and looking for the best position within the center of the circles as they change. So in this particular game, not a necessarily action-packed game from a kills perspective, but I'm relatively situated, or well situated rather, in a way that I can easily transition to the late game. I have optics, I have meds, all good to go. So we'll jump back in here in just a second. Yes! Yes! Oh no! Critical error. Oh Jesus! So a quick note here, obviously I just took a shot from a Kar 98. Now, that's not necessarily important on its own, but the one thing you want to consider when going into the late game is the equipment of the other players you might potentially face. So when I'm moving into the zone and attacking this two-story building, I'm now thinking of someone trailing behind me with a Kar 98. So I know how to engage that person. I know not to sit still too long until I can say for sure that they've been eliminated. So something to consider as you transition into the late game is listening to the audio reports of the weapons and kind of getting an idea as to who has what and where they might be coming from, so you don't get one shot by an AWM or, you know, a Kar 98 or some other sniper rifle that you know might be nearby. Okay, we have to make this crouch jump for the first time. So the guy in the house I shot was not the guy with the Kar 98. We still have not located that guy. I am now moving into the swamp, which appears is going to be the area for the very end game, the last top 7 or top 8. So I'm still looking for that guy, and I am now riding the edge of the circle, looking around, trying to determine if he's entered the swamp already, because I heard his footsteps, which is why I was acting so cautiously and talking about that crouch jump. As I went out the window, I heard him run by. So that's who I'm looking for. And let's see if I can find him here. You know why? Because people like to push this gap. That's why. So you heard me mention again, looking for people pushing the gap at the edge of the zone and the beginning of the new safe zone. So that is something I immediately looked to my left. That was the Kar 98 guy. I don't know if I mentioned it in the VOD, but that was him. So I've heard gunshots all around me, and I'm looking to see on my left and right if someone is going to immediately push that area if they heard the gunshots, which is something you should kind of do anyway, is after securing a kill, just take a quick look around, see if there's anyone looking to capitalize on the fact that you're not paying attention after a kill. So essentially what I'm trying to do here now is maintain visibility on the last few players as a bunch start to die. So I'm looking for people entering the zone, and this is where I start to kind of falter in my decision making. This is my key mistake for this round. I've started this fight a little too early. As I've mentioned in the past, trying to limit your audio output in the end game is very important. Now I've started a fight I can't finish, and I don't have the ability to kill this guy quickly. I've now heard the AKM behind me that brings us down to 3. Now what I should have done here is disengage this guy, as I had a lot of cover to get away from him, and go to seek out the AKM. Because what I've done now is I've put myself in the position of giving 2 people information instead of just 1. So I have the AKM guy who's heard my shots and has secured his last kill. And now I have this guy who knows exactly where I am because he's looking at me. So I need to go and find the AKM here, but instead I try and hold the fight, and I end up getting sandwiched. So I'll let it play out, and then I'll kind of give you my closing thoughts on what I should have done. Can't stay. AKM guy's coming. Just a quick note about positioning. Ridges and being in the low ground leave a lot of vulnerabilities. You can see that that ridge is wide open. He could come up above that ridge at any point, and all he needs to do is just get vision onto me, and I have to react to him appearing, whereas he, just needs to shoot at me when he spots me up against this rock. Now, the rock positioning isn't bad. I've put my back up against it, so the guy I was shooting at before can't shoot me in the back if I do have to engage, but still not ideal, as I don't have a lot of cover in front of me, and I would have to move, potentially putting myself in a situation where 2 people could be shooting at me instead of just 1. So here we go. Shit, making so much noise. Can't actually see him. God damn it! Bad recoil control, dude. Here's the win for that guy. So obviously not the result I was hoping for, as you could probably tell. So the end mistake there was definitely losing track of the AKM, having to scan the entire top of that ridge because I didn't get an exact pinpoint location of where that sound originated from. So I had to scan the whole top of that ridge, and he ended up being on the right side there, just as the hill kind of declines into the swamp. So unable to manage my recoil because of the aim punch and just poor positioning, no cover. The guy secures a relatively easy kill, landed his shots, and I hand him the round potentially. Didn't see who ended up winning, but it wasn't me, so that counts as a failure. Okay, so this one I'm kind of shoehorning in, but there is a definite learning here. I'm not just using this clip to showcase my sweet sniping skills in the fields around Pachinki. So we're in the end game. I have a really great position here. I've opted to take this tower and kind of bank on the circle closing around it. I've been relatively successful. So I'm going to let this montage of headshots play out really quick, and I'll point out the key learning for this that I think is a good concept but doesn't really fit in any other longer video. So let's watch this real fast. Oh, what? That is his pan? All right, so I've made fairly quick work of everyone based purely on the fact that I have the superior position, a good optic, the M24. No one has a level 3 helmet except for that guy that I shot out the first time. So as far as I can see, every immediate threat that I visually identified has been eliminated. So right now, the choice I have to make is I have to leave and I have to determine where I want to look first. So I'm doing my best to examine all the areas around me. So I max my boost out, I get ready to go, but what I don't recognize is I think I'm a little overconfident based on the fact that I just killed a bunch of people in a row in relatively quick succession. I leave a little bit too early. In the situation like this, you have to ride the circle in because everyone else is doing the same thing. No one else has cover. It's a big open field. Riding the circle in and proning is the definite go-to strategy in these types of situations. So I leave a little bit too early and I don't do a good job of checking all the way behind me before leaving cover entirely. Now, you might think that I'm acting kind of stupidly by running out into the field in this way, but right now my strategy is to invite an aim battle based on the fact that I have a high-powered rifle with a short-range scope that is, 4x scope is relatively short range. Maybe a 2x would be better in this particular situation, but I'm inviting an aim battle, trying to get someone to pop up and shoot at me so I can return fire. But it doesn't end up that way because I rush. So let's watch that play out and I will give you my closing thoughts. GG. All right, so that's it for this week's episode. I hope you guys found some good information here. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, leave a comment down below with any additional thoughts you might have, anything you'd like to see next time. Episode 3 will likely cover the early game, so if that's your suggestion, maybe think of something new. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you out there.